Hello and welcome. I'm privileged to be joined by the father of the Indian BPO industry, Raman Roy, as he's fondly called by all his peers. And Raman Roy has been doing some interesting stuff at Quatrro, and more interestingly, I guess, taking the whole BPO model or the BPM model to a very vast retail population, something that not too many companies have done, and none, as I understand, in India. Raman, let's use that as a starting point. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
One of the questions that people keep asking is that, what's happening in this industry that's going to make sure that it doesn't go extinct day after tomorrow, right? So is this whole model of taking a BPM or offshoring services in a retail format so people can actually buy off a credit card, is that one of those things?
There is a certain amount of penetration in the market as it exists today, typically the Fortune 500s or the Fortune 1000s. And it's a high penetration, though there is still some headroom for that to grow. But the moment you go beyond the Fortune 1000, take banking. Banking and financial services is a large chunk of what the BPM industry is today.
Right.
If you count the number of banks, and some of them have very, very large, 30,000 people, 50,000 people, but if you count the number of institutions, you will find there are 50 or 60 of them. But if you look at the Visa or MasterCard issuers in the United States, there are 8,000 of them.
Right.
So if 50, 60 are leveraging India, but the balance, whatever, 8,950 are not leveraging India, taking this capability to them because their need is there, they do not have the wherewithal. The wherewithal could be because of technology constraints, it could be because of management constraints, it could be because of lack of knowledge. If we can bridge that gap, that market is huge. But how to bridge that gap and how to get to that segment will be very different than what we did for the first $20 billion worth of business. So there are multiple things that will happen for that segment. Getting to that segment, whether it be the banking segment, whether it be the retail segment, is one of the aspects that is hugely underpenetrated today.
Right.
And we think we can make a big impact as a country, as an industry to that segment.
Right. So give us an illustration of a product stroke service that you offer that people are buying off the net using a credit card, or the most popular service.
A lot of the small companies having 30, 40, 50 employees, 100 employees, do not have a wherewithal to go to payroll or go to a supplier within the US who has a particular price point. What we can offer from India, doing exactly the same payroll, and payroll in the US is twice a month.
Right.
Typically, there are some industries, it's weekly also. To be able to do that on an offshore basis at a different price point can be very exciting. Technical support, the laptop that you bought after the warranty period, you got hit by a virus. What do you do? And you could go to Best Buy and use Geek Squad to be able to do that. That can almost cost you half of the cost of your computer. Or you can find other alternates. So today we have more than 1 million customers who call our 1-800 number for the support that they need, which is out of warranty for their laptops. And they pay us relatively a tiny annual fee as compared to what they would pay for one incident.
Right. So that's one kind of, let's say, innovation that's happened, and you've led it in Quatrro. Let's talk about disruption. That's another subject that you like to talk about. What's the kind of disruption that you're seeing today from the consumer side, from the client side, which is also obviously going to change the way you do business?
See, the middleman is going to go away. The sheer evolution of technology, whether you look at it as an internet or voice over internet or Skype or something where you can use the camera and talk, and that is going to eliminate a lot of the middlemen that are there on the service delivery. And if we get our act together as an industry, we can be that choice for that industry at a totally different price point, because if the middleman goes, so goes the margin of the middleman. And that access and that capability. So in our small way, we are experimenting with that. It's been hugely successful. Scalability is still a challenge that we are trying to see how to overcome. Even in the mid-market that you spoke about, we have around 18,000 customers, but how do we take it to 25 and 50,000 and to 100,000? So those are the challenges that have to be overcome because scale can make the profitability very, very exciting.
Right. So that's what's happening on the enterprise side. Now let's look at the supply of talent and skills. How things looking there? I mean, Nasscom just did a perception study where it's not looking very encouraging. I mean, this is not looking like the industry people want to head towards, at least at an entry point.
I think while your conclusion of it's not encouraging may be partly valid, but I think the devil lies in a bit of detail. The appetite of this industry is much more than what is the output of a particular category of talent. Now, if you roll back 10, 15 years, that category of talent was not being leveraged at that point of time. Now, with retail coming in, with the maturing of the BPM industry, some insurance industry coming in, which is targeting the same talent base, we've not, as a country, not been successful in taking that layer and penetrating it deeper. Though if you look out, there are a lot of educated, unemployable people that are sitting there. That is what our education system churns out.
Right.
The challenge is to make them employable on a global platform, whether it be insurance, retail,
or what you're doing
or
in support. Yeah.
So that is one aspect of it. The second aspect is that the evolution of the industry. We started out 25 years ago where I led the efforts for American Express and then for GE. They were essentially led with non-voice aspects. Voice came in later. It was well
You were also
into the
constrained
process.
by regulation to do voice,
at that
to some
time
extent,
regulation was a
Yeah.
big problem, and we
Yeah.
got a special approval for GE and to demonstrate what could happen, and then it got a life of its own. Actually, I still have the draft copy of the regulation that I helped write because it was pioneering at that time to do that. But once it went beyond that into voice, the thinking is a lot into voice. Not to say that voice business is not there, but a lot of the needs of a whole new segment of the market is a non-voice need. And for that, talent availability is not that challenging in India.
Right.
The talent availability is challenged on the voice side where our demand is much higher than supply. So we need to increase the supply. But by focusing on the non-voice component, it allows us to leverage a lot more. And that is a huge opportunity. I mean, if you take just the accounting opportunity down south, the quality of accountants you get, it is quite amazing of what can be done there.
Right. So is that also a way of saying that we shouldn't worry too much about the Philippine threat?
No, look, there are various ways if you analyze it. If you look at the growth of Philippines and you take it down to companies, lo and behold, you'll discover a large part of that growth is of Indian companies.
Right.
If you analyze the cost, you'll find the cost in Philippines is actually more than cost in India. Why are they going there? They're not stupid. They are going there because there is not enough talent, to grow it by 2,000 people, 3,000 people in a 30-day, 60-day kind of a time frame. Also, it is the training time in Philippines is significantly lower because voice and accent issues are not there. So I think it is a multi-pronged approach. But we need to upgrade our education system. We need to have a focus on train the trainer. If the professor doesn't speak in the right way, so to speak, the student is never going to learn. So we do that. We focus on also the non-voice components because there is a large market that is sitting there. And we continue the focus of incubating whatever we are doing in Philippines as an industry and growing that because today the problems in Philippines are similar to the problems in India. We've reached the limit of the availability even in Philippines. So the appetite is a lot more. We need to be able to create that supply irrespective of the borders and irrespective of the country.
Right, and so in a way, I guess it's a positive sign that you still need people because the rest of Indian industry is actually shrinking in some ways.
Again, we can debate that, but I don't think it's shrinking. The rate of growth is a little muted.
Yeah. No, what I mean is, let's say the
I
automotive
don't think
industry.
there is degrowth.
Yeah. No, what I mean is manufacturing industry is downsizing. It's laying off. The number of shifts are reducing. I mean, that's more to do with economic slowdown.
Yeah.
So, whereas you don't seem to be affected by that at all. I mean, you're still looking for people, and if they're good, then you would hire them.
Oh yes, I mean, if there were 100,000 people, this industry would absorb them within 30 to 60 days. Our entire talk of high attrition, where we are hiring from each other, is because there is no other supply.
Right. So, how are things looking for the year ahead now?
Oh, the things are, we are very optimistic in what the opportunities are, what the customer needs and the solutions that we can provide. Again, the way we at Quatrro are looking at it is not only the service and the people capability, but clubbing it with technology and offering it on a variable basis. That composition of people which is fully serviced on a state-of-art technology which is cloud-based and you pay for what you use is a very potent combination. And the growth prospects are huge. Again, the challenge is how can we make it even bigger by overcoming some of the go-to-market hurdles.
So, last question: is there the one disruption or some shift that might happen that worries you?
See, some of the bills that are presented in the US Senate by the desire to cut down the number of people without taking into account that there is not enough local population to be able to meet the needs. Yeah, if they were to become a law, would it be challenging? Yes. But beyond that, I think the opportunity is huge. There is still a lot that has not been discovered. We spoke about disruptive innovation. We have identified a few areas. We also believe there are a few dozen, if not a few hundred areas that are yet to be identified, and it's a level playing field. Some entrepreneur will identify that capability and go and build a great business out of it.
Right, that's a very warm note to end on. Raman, thank you very much for speaking with us, and it was a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me.